It is official, ladies and gentlemen. The Los Angeles Lakers have acquired Patrick Beverley from the Utah Jazz for Taylor Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. For Pat Bev, this is the second time that he's been moved this offseason. For those who don't remember, Pat Bev was involved in the Minnesota-Utah Rudy Gobert trade earlier this offseason. Now his final destination seemingly will be Los Angeles. He's returning, this time as a Laker, and he gets to play alongside a guy that he had dreams of one day playing with, and LeBron James. So here's the big story of today. That was the story of yesterday. The story today is Jovan Buha. For those who don't know who he is, he's a Lakers beat writer. He works for The Athletic. Jovan ran a story that says pretty much, with the Lakers acquiring Pat Bev, for those who don't know, the Lakers also have Kendrick Nunn returning from injury. Didn't play at all last year with a bone bruise in his knee. He's returning. With the Lakers now having both of those gentlemen at guard, according to Jovan, there's more likely a chance the Lakers pull a Houston Rocket John Wall. Last season, John Wall was on the roster, but he didn't play at all. Jovan saying that the Lakers will strongly consider, even lean towards, sitting Russell Westbrook all season next year if they cannot find a trade for him. The Rockets couldn't find a trade for John Wall last year, so they ended up just sitting him until they ended up agreeing to a buyout. With Russ, you don't need a buyout necessarily because he's in the last year of his deal. So according to Jovan, that's where the Lakers are leaning towards, and I just think it's ridiculous. Yo, there are going to be few times in the history of history will you see me come to the defense of Russell Westbrook. But call me crazy, this is one of those videos. And I am a Los Angeles Lakers diehard. I think it's dead wrong for them to consider giving Russell Westbrook the John Wall treatment. I want to be clear with you guys. If this is your first time ever tuning into a Ferro video, who I am. I think Russell Westbrook is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But two things can be true. I think he's a ball hog. I think he makes ridiculous decisions on the court. I think he still thinks he's in his prime from an athletic standpoint, and that mid-range jump shot that I don't think a lot of NBA purists bring up enough. The day Russell Westbrook lost that jump shot, he was never the same. And a lot of people believe one of the reasons why he lost that jump shot was because of an injury that he sustained many, many years ago when he was in Oklahoma City. Remember when Pat Bev ran into Russ's knee as Russ was going to call the timeout for the Thunder team at the time? A lot of people believe after that, the lift was never the same in that jump shot, and Russ became more or less either he's going to dunk it down or he's going to shoot the three ball. He never really gained that mid-range jump shot back, which was really the best part of his game that kept defenders honest on him, which allowed him to attack the rim with such ferocity that Brody did in his prime. So as Russ now has to play with Pat Bev, a lot of people are like, yo, that's a very weird thing to do, Los Angeles. Like, the guy has one guy in the league that he probably doesn't want to play with, a guy that he talked smack about in the past. He said he's pretty much a fake defender, and that's Pat Bev. You're going to bring him on the roster with Brody. There are people around the league that are like, yo, does this mean the Lakers have no plans on having Russell Westbrook around? And if they can't find a trade out for him, does that mean the Lakers will consider the old sit him out, keep him away from the team? You're better with him away than you are with him around. That's what Jovan is reporting. I think that's wrong. The reason why I think it's wrong is for one simple reason. At the end of the day, Russell Westbrook played 80 out of a possible 82 games last season. Do you understand what I'm saying? No matter what I think about the brother's game, no matter what I think about the brother's IQ on the court, at the end of the day, the brother's there. When you need him, he's there. Now, does that mean I think Russell Westbrook should be playing 30 to 37 minutes for the Lakers next year? Nah, that's a little too much for your boy. Let's tone it down to a six-man role, maybe the seventh-man role for the Lakers, 18 to 22 minutes a game. Give them something, and then allow, the Lakers to pretty much finish games with whoever's got the hot hand. If Russell's having a great night, keep him on the court in the fourth quarter. If he's not, have Pat Bev out there. If Kendrick Nunn's got a role, have him out there. If you go get another guard, whoever, Lonnie Walker, whoever's got it going, keep them in the lineup. I would bring Russell Westbrook in towards the end of the first quarters when LeBron goes on the bench. Keep him out there a few minutes with AD maybe. Keep him in that like Rondo role. That's what I would do with Westbrook. I would put him in the Rondo role. I would not have Russell Westbrook starting alongside LeBron James and AD, but I would not tell that man to get away from the roster because the Houston Rockets were tanking. They got another top pick out of this. You know what I mean? Like, they end up with Jabari Smith and all this. It made sense for them to tell John Wall to get away, even though I didn't even like that. Because if we're getting into that game, to me, that's too disrespectful of tanking. Because one of the reasons why John Wall's salary is what it is fans got to buy tickets. Fans are not getting the best product that they could because John Wall, a guy who was healthy enough to play, has been told by that Houston front office to just stay away from the team because we don't want to win games. That's whack to me. That's tanking to another level to me. The NBA needs to fix that. That's whack to me. In the case of the Lakers, my Lakers that I love dearly, we're going after rings now. Have you seen Anthony Davis lately? He can't finish 10 games in a row without getting hurt. He doesn't have forever. As a matter of fact, an argument can be made. AD's body's about probably the same age as LeBron's body. LeBron's nearly 10 years older than him, darn it feels like. It feels like LeBron was in the league forever before AD. LeBron's 37, about to be 38. And he feels a little more physically ready to go for 50 games than AD does from what we seen last year. I just find it hard. I find it hard to sell me on keeping Russell Westbrook away from the team. Like, I don't think he should be your starting point guard today. But to think that this brother has nothing to give to a team, especially with his $47 million still going to be on the books for the Lakers, like, that doesn't make sense to me. It just feels like we could do something better with that contract of Russell Westbrook's if we don't want him on the team. There's a trade that's reportedly been out there. The Indiana Pacers have apparently told the Lakers this. Y'all got to give us exactly what y'all were going to give the Brooklyn Nets for Kyrie Irving. So what does that mean? If we're going to take on Russell Westbrook's contract, if y'all want Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, y'all got to give us those 2 first-round picks, 2027 and 2029, and we'll give y'all Buddy and Miles Turner. That's the trade. The Lakers are like, wait a minute now. Buddy and Miles, they're good, but they're no Kyrie. You know, wait a minute now. Russ is in the last year of his deal. Indiana, y'all got something to gain in this too. Y'all are definitely in tank mode. Everybody wants to position themselves to go get this Victor kid that's coming out next year. Like, you, wait a minute now, Indiana. There's something to be had for you in this too. You get more cap room off your books. You get rid of a guy in Miles Turner who once led the league in blocks. Like, you get rid of good players to potentially tank for your next Paul George, your next Danny Granger, or whatever the case may be. Like, there is some interest in you to have a contract like Russell Westbrook's on your team, because if nothing else, he's such a team obliterator. He's going to go out there, go get his numbers, try to go get triple doubles, and you'll probably lose a decent amount of games. So there is something for you to have in trading for Westbrook. We're not giving you both first-round picks alongside that trade. If you're the Lakers out there, that's your thought process. Now, I do believe there's some middle ground. Maybe they can agree on one of the 2 first-round picks, maybe 2029, and that be it on that. I guess only time will tell. It doesn't seem to be a lot of motion there with that. Jovin's claiming that the Lakers are willing to just sit Russell Westbrook out. I think that's ridiculous. You see LeBron on social media backing his guy, saying he's going to be great next year, or going to get back to it next year. I don't know if I believe that, but this whole notion of with Pat Bev coming in, Russ has got to get away from the team like the Rockets did John Wall last year. The Rockets and the Lakers are not in the same place. The Lakers got a championship window here with LeBron James towards the end of his prime, and Anthony Davis probably following right behind him, leaving his prime. I don't think you got time to waste. As far as Pat Bev, the player, I think it's a good move for the Lakers. Again, I would have liked to have kept Stanley Johnson. I was fine with losing THT. He had a disaster of a season next year. THT needs the ball in his hands more. Like, this kid could figure it out, but he would never have figured it out playing alongside LeBron James, as much as LeBron desires the ball in his hands. And then when you mix in Russell Westbrook, Rajon Rondo, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, come on, that's too much. That's entirely too much. Go figure it out in Utah. You'll get all the shots you want in Utah. Pat Bev, if nothing else, understands that he's not going out and averaging 40 a night. I'm not sure if THT knew that or not. With Russell Westbrook, I really believe he thinks he can go out and get a 50-point, 25 assists, 32 rebound, triple-double every night. Pat Bev knows that there's a role to be played for this team to be successful. So if nothing else, I like the move because we have a guy that ain't going to jump out of his role. He knows why he's there. And LeBron, to me, sometimes has gotten too caught up in getting guys that in theory make sense, but on the court they don't, like Russell Westbrook. The Lakers fell into this trap of getting Russell Westbrook. And LeBron's not alone. The Lakers have done it over the last few years before even Bron got there as well, getting players that don't necessarily mesh well with one another. So I like the Pat Bev move. Don't love it, but I like it a lot because Pat Bev knows what his role is going to be on this team, and he's not going to veer off of it. He's not going to try to take 12 threes a game. If he's got it rolling, he'll knock down shots when needed. He'll play defense. He will play defense. The Lakers got a guy, even at the age of 34, that will go in there with the mindset of, I will take this point guard out the game. One of the Lakers' defenses, trust me, I watched every dribble of that miserable season last year for the Los Angeles Lakers. One of their deficiencies was they couldn't stay in front of any point guard. It wasn't just Ja Morant blowing past him. No point guard the Lakers could stay in front of. With Pat Bev, is he the best version of himself as a defender today? Probably not. He's 34, but he is disciplined. He understands. He watches a lot of film. From what I was told, he's going to make sure he does his best. If he's going to send a point guard into the Lakers interior, he's going to be sending them right at Anthony Davis in a position that AD would like it to be, so AD can make the necessary adjustments to a shot or block the shot altogether. And if the Lakers are able to get Miles Turner, he can send him. He can send one point guard to the left, and then when the guard wants to go right, you can send him to Miles Turner way. That would be beautiful for the Lakers. That would be ideal. We'll see what they do with Russell Westbrook here. I do not think the move for the Lakers is just sit Brody out and get nothing back. That's whack to me. Like, man, that man comes out and plays. I think it's a tough sell to Laker Nation when you see what we're dealing with Anthony Davis. You see it. Like, he seems like he doesn't take the game serious enough to go on the opposite end of that and tell a guy that's even more healthy than LeBron is right now, to tell that man to sit down, don't play. That's a whack end to his career. I don't like that for Brody. And again, I'm not the Russell Westbrook hip hip hooray fan. I think he makes ridiculous plays on the court. But man, can he get a 6-man role, a 7th-man role? Don't let him at the end of the games. But to me, sitting him all together and not even letting him be around the team, he ain't deserved that either.